and very good evening to all of you. Just I'll share my presentation. Just a second. Is it visible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Today I'll be speaking about another renewable form of energy. And I think today's sessions are all around futuristic energy potential that we have in hydrogen. But today I'll be more talking about biogas or compressed biogas as another form of renewable energy and how it is helping India right now. So I'll start with the subject that we talked about, transportation. Now, if you look at the transportation and the energy requirement in transportation as a overall worldwide, we are almost using 21% of the entire energy basket. Now we are looking at making the entire transport sector transiting towards renewable energy or adapting towards renewable energy. And I'll be talking more about how we can utilize our waste and convert into a renewable form of energy, and so that we can utilize in our mobility systems or transportation. Today, we can actually use lot of variety of waste and convert into many different kind of energy, be it liquid forms such as ethanol, 1G ethanol, 2G ethanol, even biodiesel, or even gaseous form that I am talking about today is CBG or bio-CNG. Even we can produce jet fuels, marine fuels, and biohydrogen also from these feedstocks. And with all this possibility, today, actually in Praj, we have already commercialized some of these renewable fuels, such as ethanol first generation and second generation. Even CBG we have commercialized, and we have been building around other waste to energy platforms as well. Now coming to, because this session I would be limiting myself to only the CBG. What is CBG? CBG is nothing but the renewable biogas or renewable bio-CNG. This, in terms of molecular level, if you look at it, is almost identical to natural gas. But the only thing is, in India, when we are producing biogas or the bio-CNG, the methane percentage is almost as high as 96%. So it is actually a higher methane content molecule than natural gas. So in terms of calorific value, it is higher than the currently available natural gas. Now, if you look at how this biogas is produced, and we have in India a lot of different feedstock. Any organic waste material can be used as a feedstock to produce biogas. And this biogas is an anaerobic process, digestion process. And after this anaerobic digestion, the biogas that comes out is typically 55 to 60% methane content in it. So we need to purify it further to make it 90%, 96% pure. And this purified form of methane, then compressed, and then for transportation we use cascade form, as as we're currently doing with the CNG also. And this biogas or bio-CNG can be utilized in many industries, be it power application, vehicular application, even industries, home application. Wherever we are using currently natural gas or CNG, we can utilize this. And now coming to, we know that India has already taken a target to increase its gas in the energy basket from 7% to 15%. So we see the entire infrastructure development around gas sector, and in that we are also targeting 5% renewable of the overall gas that we will be going to use. So we're talking about a 5% blending in the entire gas. So looking at this, we see there's a lot of potential. Now I'll come to the potential of biogas or bio-CNG that is existing in India. If you just map the entire raw material available, the waste that is available in the right pie chart, you can see that the current available waste can produce as high as 62 million metric ton of CBG or the CNG, bio-CNG per year. Currently, the India consumption is around 50 million metric ton. So in terms of availability, the potential of generation of CBG is huge, that we can entirely, substitute the current gas consumption. But if you look at the which kind of feedstock will be able to use in India, and we compare with the worldwide scenario, you see the worldwide left side pie chart, you can see the biogas that comes from, in a wild scenario, you can see that is dominated by farm waste, or it is dominated by the agri residues. Most of these are, energy, grass, or corn silages. But typically in India, the pie is different. What we see in India is there is a lot of potential from surplus agri residue. We talk a lot about paddy burning issues, and all those surplus paddy residues are there. So that consists of a huge chunk of our potential. Apart from that, there are two other easy feedstock that we have, because we have a lot of sugar plantation around our country, and 400, 500 sugar plants are there. So sugar plant waste, which is called press mud, spent waste, and bagasse, and the MSW, the municipal solid waste. So combined, these three forms a major chunk of raw material which can be easily converted to CBG. There are other ways, such as farm animal. We have a lot of cattle animal population, but the challenge in India is we have very don't have bigger farms. These are all animal population is distributed among many farmers. So collection is a very difficult issue here. So even if we have a cattle dung availability, but we don't see a lot of commercially viable bigger plants can come up from this feedstock. So this is some of the changes when you see from a world perspective versus India perspective, and this is very. If you look at the raw material availability, also most of the feedstock will be available in rural areas. So that is another dimension. Now I'll talk about, we speak a lot about when we're talking about a newer form of energy, how it is viable. So I have just plotted a graph of current, whatever we are using as different fuels for our transport application. If you look at the current retail prices, and you can see the retail prices of gasoline, diesel, or whatever we have, versus you compare with CNG, LPG, or CBG, the compressed biogas or bio-CNG, you can see that the bio-CNG is actually having the highest calorific value if you compare on a calorific value scale. But currently the market prices are almost the minimum among all the fuels that we're currently using. And when you compare it with the dimension of cleanness or clean burning, this CBG, the amount of CO2 that gets generated on a life cycle basis is almost 1/4 that of their non-renewable fuels. So you can see that Indian perspective, this is an Indian scenario. So there are many dimensions why the other prices are very high because of there are inherent taxes in it. But on a retail space as it is that we stand, the renewable energy from bio-CNG is not only having higher calorific value, but also the cheaper as of now. Now coming down to, we talked about that there is a absolute high amount of raw material that is available. From a market perspective, we don't need to incentivize because it's already, the price at which it is selling is almost equal or even lower than other peer fuel that is existing. Now let us look at the technology perspective. Now the technology of biogas generation is there. It is not, you can go to Europe and US, other part of the world, and there are so many plants already running. So technology is existing. There's nothing new in the technology. But what is new is from an Indian perspective when we want to look, and because some of the feedstock are very new, which is not available around the world. For example, this paddy straw that we're talking about and is a inherent problem in India scenario, it is not there worldwide. And Indian variety of rice comes with a lot of inherent silica also, which is very difficult to process and it has own challenges. So in that perspective, yes, the technology needs to be built around Indian perspective, keeping that in mind. And also some of the feedstock, for example, when I go into technology, there are four different dimensions to technology development. One is what kind of pre-treatment we do. Second is around the entire biomethanation process. Third is gas purification. And fourth is organic manure. So when we talk about the technology around pre-treatment, as I said, this biomass, when it comes to paddy, we need to look at the processability of such feedstock, how we are going to handle such feedstock, and then we are going to break the bond between cellulose and the lignin, how we can improve the yields, how we can make it more homogenized and slurry form so that it can easily goes into the process. So all these things comes into picture, and that's why the pre-treatment process is very critical. And in Praj, we have developed a microbial pre-treatment around this process, and there are many other forms of pre-treatment available. Some use enzymes, some use harsh chemicals, but this is very critical. This pre-treatment process is very critical. Similarly, if I can give another example of pre-treatment, for example, let's take a raw material of press mud, which is a sugar plant waste, which is easily available in abundance. So there also the challenge is in India, the sugar season is only 5 months. Typically around the world, sugar seasons are high 9 months to 12 months, but in India, it is typically 5-6 months. And then the challenge is how to preserve it for around the year so that I can make a plant and run the plant around the year. So around that also, we have created a pre-treatment process where, again, we use microbes to stabilize the entire feedstock and store it around the year without any yield degradation. Now, coming to biomethanation, there are many technologies available, different designs available, but primarily the designs that currently in market they're using is either CSTR design or a dual plug flow design that we are currently proposing for all solid feedstock, because we see that it is more rugged in nature, no breakdown and maintenance requirements, and higher yield and degradations. So, and third aspect is where once we get the biogas, how to purify, because if you are going for a pure power application, you don't need to do a lot of purification. But if you're looking to use it in a vehicular application, the stringent purification requirement is there. So that's why this purification process is critical. But there are so many different types of technology already available in commercial scale that in India also now it is there. So I don't think this gas purification process is anyway of any from a technological perspective it is available. Now coming to the fourth aspect, so these all CBG plants, they also produce a lot of organic manure. Government of India has already certified that whatever organic manure is produced is already certified under government schemes. And now these, because these plants will be coming in rural areas, so these organic manure also will flow back to the farmers where they can replace it with their existing chemical fertilizers. And we have seen excellent result in our existing plants. And these organic fertilizers or organic manures also are rich in fixed carbons, which is a critical requirement as of now in the soil. So in nutshell, just to give you an overview, that technologies are available. Of course, the refining is there, some fine tuning is going on, but technology is always available. I'll just, this is my last slide, and then I'll just narrate what is happening in India from a bio-CNG perspective. From 2018 onwards, Government of India has already created a program where they have a vision to build 5,000 CBG plants. But in reality, today we see 20 odd plants have come, and we ourselves are building 6 to 7 plants out of it. So from a policy perspective, government have done fantastic job in the sense that within 2 to 3 years, they have actually, came up with all those policy and implemented. It's very nice implementation over there. If you look at even the rice straw that were the difficult feedstock, I would say in India. So there are also 3 commercial plants have already come or underway. So this is also a good news. And after this is first wave of reference has come, then suddenly we'll see a spike of that. So in nutshell, if you see that these CBG plants are not only utilizing the waste or reducing pollution in terms of reducing this paddy burning issues and all, but also it creates a local employment because these are all set up in rural areas. And of course, this reduces import bill and all those things for any renewable energy form. And more or less, this also promotes indigenous technology because these technologies are not very complex in nature. So a lot of indigenous players are coming up with their technology. And we can see this as a true example of circular economy because everything comes from India and then we're utilizing that. And we call it Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-sustaining India. So that is a true example of that. Only one thing I would like to add to this that still with all these benefits also, this sector itself is in a nascent form. Just started 2 years back. Still needs some kind of support from financial feasibility point. And that we see that government is also stepping in and we see other players are coming up. So we'll see in future that it will take off. So with this, I'll stop here. I think I have exceeded my time. Any questions, I'll be free to happy to answer later. Thank you.